owns the first of its kind Golden Alignment Chiropractic Luxury Sports and Wellness Facility. Did I get that right? We have Ms. Taylor Williams. She is our licensed professional counselor that owns Nourish Dallas. She is dedicated to luxury wellness, mental health care. Her space is amazing. It looks beautiful. I haven't seen it in person, but on Instagram it looks amazing. So if you're dealing with that, you want to find her. She's at Nourish_DTX on Instagram, all the socials. Dr. Tiffany Bliss. She is our OBGYN. She owns her own practice, specializing in maternal health care for the underprivileged, women of color, minority. She's out of Cedar Hill, Texas. And we have Mrs. Lee Greer, who is our personal trainer, representative. Lee Greer owns Body by Lee. You can find her on social media, all the social media platforms at Body by Lee. She does amazing things. I haven't personally experienced her work product, but all the reviews say you need to go try it out. So I'm gonna say go try it out. And future Dr. Stacey Ellis, PhD student at UTA. Am I correct? No.
Texas Women's.
Texas Women's. See, I told you. But we're here. Thank you so much, ladies. I want to publicly first say thank you. Woo! I reached out to all of these ladies as a part of a dream that I have for ministry, and this that we're doing here today. And each one of them said absolutely yes, sign me up. Free of charge. People don't give away their time, so thank you. I believe that it's important for us to focus on our well-being, our whole well-being as women, as humans. So I just wanted to bring someone that can speak intelligently to things that we deal with as women. We've dealt with a lot over the past few years, whether it be COVID or marriage issues, divorce, whatever the case, whatever your thing is, we've dealt with it, we've carried it well or not so well. So we're having a health expo, being health expo about it. And so thank you again, ladies. And we're gonna get this party started today. The first question for you ladies, for each of your respective professions, at what point do you suggest women come to you for guidance?
Me being a personal trainer, I think that you should come to me for guidance before it just goes all the way out of control. If you keep trying, a lot of times we think, I know how to work out on my own. I can clean up my diet. But sometimes you just need some structure, and you also can benefit greatly from a sisterhood or a group of like-minded women who are working towards those same goals. So if you find yourself starting over every month or every Monday, again and again, then come see me, because you don't have to figure out the recipe. All you have to do is cook it.
Oh, yeah,
I usually recommend that young ladies come and see me for their first gynecology visit between 14 and 18. And you don't necessarily have to have an exam at that time period, but we just have a conversation. We talk about what is a normal menstrual cycle. We talk about your body so that you're understanding what's going on with you. We talk about unwanted pregnancy prevention. We talk about safe sex counseling. We make sure that the HPV vaccine is up to date. And then we talk about birth control if that's something that they're interested in. So we just have a conversation, we introduce it so it's not a scary experience. And typically we recommend that they get their first exam at 21 unless they're having a problem prior to that.
So as a mental health therapist, I believe as long as you have breath in your body, you need to be seeking some type of counseling, having that as a maintenance as opposed to a crisis response. A lot of times people look at us once I call it the house is burning down, right? They've exhausted all measures, and then they want to reach out and say, hey, can you help me? right? But I think if you guys can start a little bit earlier, more as a preventative measure, I think that you will see the benefits. So that way, when things start happening, you're not responding to it. You already are developing those coping skills. I think a lot of us as women of color specifically, we definitely need to be in therapy. There is a lot that we take on. There's a lot that we endure just being, I think, part of the diaspora, the intersectionality, and then we just need a space to process those things. You don't have to necessarily look for a therapist who looks like you, but there are plenty of therapists and providers that do. So I definitely encourage just to get started with that journey and kind of see where that takes you.
So contrary to what a lot of people think, chiropractors are not only utilized in car accidents. So I am a car accident advocate if you really need it. However, I'm preventative medicine similar to Taylor. I have a luxury practice, and I also think that you don't wait until you need a feeling to go see a dentist. So it's the same thing with the chiropractor. I recommend that if you're in a wellness state that you see a chiropractor at least once every 4 to 6 weeks for general alignment, just to make sure everything works out well. Similar to Leanne, it's the same thing. Don't wait till it gets too far out of whack. A lot of people come once they're in pain and you're essentially chasing pain. But I don't chase pain. So for you, of course, you come and you want to get out of pain. But for me, it's a lifestyle change. It's ergonomics. Everyone has a spine. Everyone sits down. Everyone works. So no matter what you have going on, you need to see a chiropractor. And similar to Taylor, it doesn't have to be one that looks like me. However, I will say that you're going to be better represented if you do see someone that looks like you, because we understand the biomechanics of our bodies and what we are made of.
So as a dietitian, obviously I focus on nutrition, and there is a lot of bad nutrition advice that's out there, and a lot of people are misled. A lot of people are doing diets they shouldn't be doing and adopting habits they shouldn't adopt, and so coming to see a dietitian, whether it's me or another dietitian, we can really bring clarity and help you reach whatever goals that you have for yourself. We do know that America, we have an obesity epidemic. We have a lot of people who have diabetes, heart disease, cancer, arthritis. All these things stem from your diet. And so if you wait until you get one of these conditions, it does make it a lot harder. So it's best that you try to make those habits now in the beginning, so that way you can prevent those things from happening. But even if they do happen, it's not the end. There are ways to improve your health and improve your well-being.
What are the pillars of your practice?
So the main pillar for Body by Lee is sisterhood. I touched on it a second ago. I know everybody expects me to say strength or nutrition or anything or something along those lines, but for me, it's sisterhood. When I embarked upon the journey to create Body by Lee, I had a vision in my mind of women, minority women coming together and really fighting against those chronic diseases and illnesses that are preventative. You don't have to have it just because your mom had it or your aunt or your grandma. So what I've been able to create, really just being God's hands, is God's work through me. That's all it is, because there's no way that I would be able to train thousands of women, and it's literally the most magical space that you can come into. So what we have done at Body by Lee is create a sisterhood. When someone's feeling down and feeling like they can't do it, or like they're losing their way, literally there are probably 10 to 20 women like, no, I felt like that. And they're joining together. So sisterhood is my main thing that it's not about the workout, it's about really creating a force. We call it the body game, but our rivals are like heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. That's what we're doing. So for me, it's about sisterhood, and along with that comes great strength. The more lean muscle you have as you age, the better you're going to be, the better position you're going to be in health-wise. So sisterhood is my main thing. It's literally what my business, the foundation of my business.
So Nourish is, the pillars are refresh, replenish, and refill. I was very intentional on the name that I wanted to use for my wellness space. And I have a lot of women that look like you all, right? Women of color is predominantly who I see as clients. And a lot of times, by the time I see them, they come in very malnourished, whether it be physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, etc. Right? And so my biggest goal was any interaction that they do with my wellness space, I always want you to leave feeling more nourished than what you came in. So when you come into the practice, it's very luxury, very similar to tips. I think we are definitely entitled to luxury, and mental health is that. To me, I look at it as, imagine how much you guys are taking on and enduring, right? And you're doing it without really processing a lot of the unhealed trauma. So I can only imagine if you let some of that weight off that you're carrying that's not even yours, that's your parents and generational, et cetera, how much more you guys can thrive. So Nourish is really, really, it's dear to my heart, but those are our 3 pillars at the practice. And then that's also one of our other clinicians. I'm gonna put her on the spot really quickly. Her name is Alex. And we also, she's a nourisher. So we don't call ourselves therapists, we call ourselves nourishers. We like to nourish what's already in you. So we're very, very passionate about that.
So the pillars of my practice is to educate, elevate, and empower. And I think that as Black women, Black and brown women, we find ourselves oftentimes in spaces that are not for us, that weren't intended to be anything that catered to us or met our needs. Wellness spaces in our scope of practice often are the equivalent of whiteness spaces. We find ourselves in spaces where we have to minimize ourselves, assimilate, code switch, all these things that get in the way of really getting down to the nitty-gritty of figuring out what's going on with our health and well-being. So the practice is focused intently on giving women of color the rights, respect, and resources that they need to help start the ominous task of breaking down some of these maternal health disparities that we see, improving Black maternal health outcomes, and that's definitely what we focus on. We try to bring together a team of people that really centers women who look like us in a space that we are tolerated and not just, or celebrated and not just tolerated, so that we can thrive and that we can make significant grounds on improving our health and well-being.
Golden Alignment was created in the middle of COVID in October 2020, and when I created Golden Alignment, it was created out of what everything was going on with everyone with COVID and health disparities and people not being able to get the attention that they need, especially within our population. And so when I created it as what I like to call the Chick-fil-A of chiropractic care, right? So everyone loves Chick-fil-A, right? They have amazing customer service, their food is always amazing. And oftentimes when you go to your healthcare provider, you're rushed in, rushed out, or you feel like you're a number. And so when I created it as a faith-based experience that also embodied luxury. And kind of what Keisha explained earlier, it's the first of its kind in the United States of America, where it's complete 360. So we're talking about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, everything is together. If one of those legs on that triangle is broken, then it's no longer whole. And so what that means is when people come into Golden Alignment, they know that they're not only getting an experience with a physician, but they're getting an experience with a physician that looks like them, that talks like them, that understands them, and also cares about their soul. And kind of like what Leanne spoke on earlier, I'm just a vessel. So I always pray over my patients at the end of their treatment. They have an option to either do meditation or prayer. And oftentimes they choose meditation, and I will tell a secret that I probably haven't told many people, but they choose meditation, but I'm still praying. And so what that means is I don't force God on anyone, because I believe that God is love. And if God is love, no matter who you are, where you are, and what you believe in, He still cares about you. And so at that point in time, I just allow the interference to be removed by doing the adjustment. And so we have the physical aspect, but then once we bring together the spiritual or emotional aspect and allow God to move in ways that only He can, then we're able to bring everything together. And unlike most doctors' offices, our visits are typically somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. And everything is customized, individualized. And so we're just really big on the holistic aspect, not just the physical aspect, because I'm a physical doctor, if that makes sense.
And it's amazing. I have personal experience. And it's everything. I injured my back in the military, because I'm military too. And Tiffany said, I got you. And I didn't really know what to expect from a chiropractor, because I hadn't gone to a chiropractor before. But immediately when you walk in, it's like, oh. she takes care of you. I mean, the whole gua sha and cupping and that stuff may sound foreign and unfamiliar, but try it out. You won't be sorry.
And I see a couple of my patients in here today, so thank you guys for your support. The goalies are out.
Well, with my practice, I focus on lifestyle changes. A lot of times when it comes to nutrition, there's a lot of diet fads, and people want to do, the latest fad. The vegan movement, that's one of the latest fads right now, or doing fasting, or, there's always some type of fad, and people tend to jump on board, they get excited, they might get results, but after a while, they're like, I'm gonna start adding these donuts back in, and so it doesn't stick. It's just something that they do temporarily. And so I focus on making long-lasting changes, lifestyle changes. The people who stay healthy the longest are those who have habits that are in place that they do throughout their whole life. And so, I focus on trying to establish goals with them that will help them, see that being healthy, eating healthy does not necessarily have to be a burden. It's not that you have to give up all your favorite foods, but there's portion control and, there's understanding how much you should have of each type of food and showing that, yes, you actually can still enjoy your pizza. You can still enjoy, cheesecake, but you might not have it every day. Things like that. So that's the main focus of my practice.
What I've been hearing is we have to count the cost, which for me resonates in the book of Luke, because it tells us in Luke that we have to count up the cost. And I believe we have to count up the cost in every area of our lives. And that's the whole person, from our head to our toes. The decisions that we make can have lasting implications on our lives. So if you don't seek someone that can help you with whatever it is you're facing, you can do research, but it's a lot of sifting through research because there's lots of information available to us online, wherever it is. Your best friend or your girlfriend who did that thing 5 years ago and may be helping you talk through it for 2 to 3 hours on a phone call at night. But you should definitely seek and solicit the information from those who are trained. I would just advise if you seek it from trained professionals. What, if anything, drives your passion in your field?
I guess I'll start. I would say, honestly, what drives my passion is seeing lives change. I'm also a neurophysiologist, and prior to having my practice, I did surgery every single day. And it's one thing for someone to walk in and they truly need the surgery because they have like a fracture to a spine, but it's another thing to see your people walk in day in, day out with things that everyone can pretty much attest to, walk in with these things that could have been prevented. And it's disheartening, and a lot of it is basically what Keisha just touched on. It's the misnomers, the myths that our population, our people have been taught, and it's passed down from generation to generation, and a lot of it could have been prevented. And then you have this person on the table and they're having surgery, and should they be there, maybe is there another form of intervention that could have happened if we would have started here and here with a dietitian and a personal trainer, or even take those people out. If your mind isn't there, you can't get there, because now you're going back and forth. How many of us have started over every Monday? Or even just the small things of understanding how your body works. A lot of us, and we'll get very explicit, a lot of us don't know what a labia majora is, right? And so these are things about your own physical body that you don't know. And so when I became a chiropractor, being able to see how there's complementary alternative medicine, non-traditional medicine, that can truly change a life. And get people to where they need to be is what fuels me every morning when I wake up. I go to work. My patients will tell you this in here. I don't have a job. I am an adult trapped in this body. I am a child. I have fun. I play with my patients. It's a joy because when they walk in feeling one way and they walk out feeling whole. And it's not only physical, but their whole body comes together. So yeah, that's probably it for me. That passion comes from seeing lives change and truly change for the longevity.
You know, my passion also is largely driven by prevention. When you look at the statistics and you look at the studies that inform us about what increases Black maternal mortality, the majority of that is preventable. And I just think that if we got in front of the right providers, the right nurses, the right doulas, the right doctors, the right midwives, dietitians, nutritionists, physical therapists, if we had that team, that village around us, if we really were seen and heard and our concerns taken seriously, that we would see significant improvements in our health and well-being, and I really feel that we are the only ones that can do that for us. So prevention is definitely what drives me each and every day.
Knowledge is power. It really is, especially when it comes to your health. The individuals who have higher levels of education, we look at the statistics, they tend to live longer. And so we know that it's very important that we share the knowledge that we have, so that way, it decreases your risk of chronic diseases. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in here that knows people who are suffering with chronic diseases. And it's not fun seeing them, having to take all the medications or be in pain. And so that drives me, because I do not want to see anyone suffer from any of these conditions that you can prevent, especially. So that is one of my main driving forces.
So mine is a little different. I will say that everything can't be prevented, right? There is a lot of things that have probably happened to a lot of us that was outside of our control, and we call those external factors, right? There are probably a lot of people who have failed you, a lot of people who have hurt you, a lot of people who have disappointed you, et cetera, et cetera. So one of my biggest things that drives me is, I always tell my clients, what you're not changing, you are choosing, right? So when I see them making the changes and I see them come out on the other side and they are not responding the way that they used to, or things are not affecting them as dramatically as they used to. When I see I think the client that I love working with the most is Black moms, right? Because there's a lot of trauma that is passed down to the babies, because the mom just isn't doing her own healing. So it's a lot of things that I love to address to repair a lot of relationships, whether it be intimate relationships, familial relationships, or most importantly, the relationship with yourself. Because a lot of you guys are carrying things that happened to you and you're internalizing it as if you were at fault, you were the victim. So we don't know how to really separate that, right? So I think my biggest thing is just seeing you guys come out on the other side.
My obsession, just like theirs, is transformation. Just to be able to come in contact with someone who just feels like it's not possible, like they feel like they can't do it. I am so obsessed with digging in and pulling it out of them, like by any means necessary. No matter how many times they fall off, it's always grace. Everybody might be like, come on girl, we're gonna start over, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again, we're gonna do it again. And recently I've had a crazy obsession and drive with women who are struggling with PCOS. Sometimes it's just a matter of dropping the body fat percentage a little. I had 3 babies last year, 3 PCOS babies last year, just by changing diet and exercise. So,
Can you tell us what that acronym means?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So just having women come to me in hopes of, they hope they lose a little bit of weight, and then they come in like, coach, I'm so sorry, I just got abs now. Congratulations, we'll do it again. So just seeing the transformation for whatever reason it is, even if it's just like seeing a woman who couldn't even look herself in the mirror, because sometimes we do a challenge and say, in the beginning, let's look in the mirror and let's compliment. Let's say one positive thing. And so many people struggle with that. Like, can't even say one thing. I'm like, girl, look at your eyebrows. So just being able to pull that out of them and just seeing the confidence shift. I have so many clients in here that are vendors and sitting here. So just being able to see them come out on the other side and proving to them, like, yes, you can.
And one by one, we're going to tell the little version of yourself, the little girl in you, or a little girl, about what you wish you had known on your journey to your practice, or the little girl that doesn't feel like she has a voice.
Okay, hey little girl. You are enough. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to do any tricks. You don't need to alter anything. You are enough just as you are. And whatever God calls you to be is great enough. Like whatever the title is, it's enough. You're enough. Just show up as you are and don't feel like you have to change or go with the trends or like everything that you need is within you. So you're enough. That's the main thing.
Hey, little girl. You are worthy. You are smart enough. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Don't let anyone discount that. Every space that God has placed you in, He ordained you to be in even before you arrived. He's given you each and everything that you need to succeed and thrive in those spaces. And guess what else? If He started it, He's going to finish it.
That's good. Okay. Sorry, I caught that one. Okay, so I'm not going to look in the mirror because I believe that we are mirrors, right? Every interaction that I have, every time that I look out onto you guys, I see me and I see you and me, right? So I got to tell you guys about the little girl real quick. It's not a long story, but I'm from Inglewood, California, South Central LA. Underprivileged, underserved, all of the statistics, okay? My mom was murdered when I was 5 years old from partner violence. My dad was disabled by the time that I was 9 years old. So when I say that whatever dream that you have or whatever goal that it is, please, please, please do not let the devil take your preview. If God showed it to you, that is yours. A lot of us get stuck in the preview and we don't make it to the premiere, right? So I had to preface that because I'm gonna let you guys know something. So I quote Nipsey. I'm not your average therapist, I'm gonna tell you that right now. But one of the biggest things that I love to remind myself of, one, is where I come from. And if you guys know anything about Nipsey, I grew up on those same streets. Literally, Slauson and Crenshaw is where I'm from, right? So one of his quotes is, "The game will test you, but stay 10 toes down. It's not on you, it's in you. And what's in you, they cannot take away." So that's all I have.
And so, yeah, my story is similar to Taylor's, which is probably why we vibe so well. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm from John Barrow. And my patients know me, or Instagram world all over the U.S. know me as Dr. Trap. Because I'm also not a conventional doctor either. I love trap music. Although God is my head of my life, but God made me, right? But yeah, I am going to talk to the little girl in the mirror because I think it's important that I do that. So hey, Tiffany. So where you started is definitely not where you're going to finish. Everything that you have, that you need, is within you. God has already given you the backpack that you need to climb the mountain that's being placed in front of you. If He wants to shift that mountain and move it, He will. But if He doesn't, it's because He's trying to get you to another level. You can't skip this stage. If you skip this stage, you will not be successful at the end. You know how the story ends. He says that He'll be victorious in battle. He never told you that He wouldn't give you things, but He told you He would never give you more than you could bear. Now stand up, stand tall, go out there, make yourself proud. The past is gone, today is new, and tomorrow is never promised.
Very poetic.
Well, as a little girl, I had low self-esteem as many little girls, and I didn't think I could achieve much as many people. So, with that in mind, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're the salt of the earth. God knows what you're capable of. You are way smarter than you think you are. You can achieve way more than you think you can. Don't listen to people around you who criticize you and say you're not good enough, that say you're not pretty enough, who say you're not smart enough. You are. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, to give you a hope in a future. And you will achieve the work that I have for you, and you won't let me down.
That wraps up my question. Is there anyone out in the audience that has any questions for anyone. We can take a few moments to answer, they can take a few moments to answer those questions. We have one over.
My question is, what do you do on those days when you just don't have it to get up, to go to your business, your job, support into someone else? What do you do on those days when you're fully depleted? And I want anyone but the therapist to answer.
So I will answer just because I'm going to see it from both perspectives, right? So I normally wouldn't talk about this, but I guess I will. So I was diagnosed with clinical depression, PTSD, anxiety, and insomnia. My brother was murdered in 2007, right? And so every day gets a little bit harder and it gets a little bit easier and it kind of goes back and forth. But the difference when you work for yourself is you have to show up for yourself, right? There's no one waiting on you. There's no one saying, hey, you need to get to work. And so the honest to God truth is not what typically probably a therapist would tell you. But I say, give yourself that day. Like there are some days that I wake up and it's hard to show up for myself. If I have patients on the books, I'm gonna show up, right? And physically I'm gonna be there. However, if I'm going through anything, I allow myself that one day. I tell myself, hey Tiffany, you get that one day to feel however you're gonna feel or whatever you're going through. And then after that day, you don't wallow in it. And whatever is holding you back, you figure out a plan. And if you can't figure out a plan, you turn to your counterparts. It's a lot of entrepreneurs around me. And some of those days when things seem hard, I often think that whatever that issue is for me is probably big to me, but smaller to someone else. So I put my pride to the side, I pick up the phone or I text someone and I say, hey, yeah, so this week the numbers are down and monkeypox is going on and they're talking about a shutdown. What am I gonna do? Because they probably have gone through this with COVID because they've been open longer or something like that. So I say don't be hard on yourself. A lot of times we're taught as Black women that you're not supposed to, I don't wanna say feel, but more so like, we have to be strong all the time. You always have to be strong. You have to be on point. You always have to look a certain way. Presentation is key. And I digress. I think that's not true. I think that there is strength in vulnerability and being able to say, hey, today I am not okay. And I'm gonna take the time. And I will be honest, even though my patients are in here, there may have been a day that they've gotten a call from my office manager that said, hey, Dr. Tiff had an emergency come up and she's not gonna be in today. And I may have had one of those days where I just couldn't show up for myself or for my patients. And that's okay because you can't be your best version to your clients or your customers if you're not the best version of yourself to yourself.
And I will add, we will always face hard things. That's the human life. Suffering is going to happen. There's no way around it. And so you kind of do have to fight for joy. You have to be your biggest advocate for joy. And so when things do come, you know, kind of like what she was saying, finding the perspective of the situation that you're in. Yes, there's going to be bad things that happen. You know, people are going to pass away. You're going to, you know, there's just so many different things that can happen. But you take from it what you want to take from it. What is it for you to learn from that situation? And then finding that thing within you to get you out of that. I know for myself, so she said I'm working on my PhD. I've been working on my PhD a long time. Like I should have graduated like 2 years ago, but because of COVID, I'm not graduated. So believe me, I understand like when you feel like giving up, like I've been wanting to give up on the PhD. But the thing that drives me is understanding that I have a purpose. I have a reason for being here. And it's not just for me to get a degree. It's not for me just to, you know, say that, oh, you know, I've achieved this goal. God has a plan and purpose for me. And so keeping my eye on the prize of what God has for me. And whenever I do feel, the devil knows you have a plan. So he's going to try to knock you down and make you feel discouraged and make you want to quit. So reminding yourself that you do have a plan and purpose and fighting for that joy. And you know, that might mean little things like turning on music and dancing in your house, or going for a walk, or going to the gym to make you feel better. Those little outlets actually make a huge difference in how you feel.
Yeah, I was going to speak on the practical side of things. I literally blast Charles Jenkins and I go to war. I mean, I literally, on the way to whatever the situation is, on the way to that clinic day, I plead the blood of Jesus, and then after that, I can go a little further. I can go a little further. So just those practical things, just taking a deep breath, slowing down, asking for grace. You know, those are the things that I do.
Can I answer?
Grace is key.
You said a perfect answer? I promise I don't. But I think that everything up here that was shared was beautiful, right? But I also want to understand the emotional significance of that question tailored to you. And the reason why that's going to be important to me is because how they get over things and how they stay motivated and how they stay consistent is not your blueprint. So it's going to be so important, one, that you check what your self-care assessment is, right? There's a holistic part of you. We have spiritual, mental, physical, professional, et cetera, right? So I would like for you to look at that self-care assessment first and kind of see where do you fall. Are you doing things to make sure that you're pouring back into your own cup before you keep overpouring? I'm really big on the overpour. If you're gonna overpour, please come see me because I will pour back into you, right? The second thing is definitely learning and discovering yourself. You have to figure out what works for you. I promise you, all this information that's on social media and all these people getting up and doing their morning routines, I'm not a morning person. I just can't get up. It doesn't work for me. And the benefits are there, but you have to figure out what is tailored to you. So that is not the perfect answer. I just want you to kind of figure out for you, you know, what is going to work best for you, because that is, I think, what's going to be sustainable for you. You're going to always end up looking for something else if you're going based off of, you know, what information someone else is using and what gets them through. That's why, come on to see me.
So I have two questions. So the first question is to you. So someone who has never been on a diet in their life, like, how does that look? Where do you start? Because sometimes hearing, oh, get on a diet may be intimidating if you didn't grow up in a household where diet was talked about. So could you speak to that? And then I have a question for you.
So typically whenever I see a client, the first thing I do is a health assessment, and it gives me a background of what are they doing now, what are they eating, how's their lifestyle, do they have a busy lifestyle, do they have time to even fix meals, are there any signs that they might need education. I don't like using the term diet, because whenever you say diet, it sounds like it's a temporary thing, and I'm not for a temporary fix. I want to see, what are you doing now? What are the different tweaks that we can do with what you're currently doing to improve your health, improve your eating overall?
So my question to you is, sometimes, even encouraging someone to go to counseling or thinking to go to counseling yourself sometimes can be intimidating. Could you give us like a glimpse into like what an office visit would be like if we actually went?
Yeah, absolutely. I can only speak for my practice. One of the biggest things that I provide there is I'm really big on bringing you to the present moment, right? So the moment you walk in, there's our music that's playing, right? You'll have the aroma that's bringing you to the present moment, right? I have a lot of textures and not too many colors, but different things that cause you to kind of look into that present moment. So one of the biggest things that happens is typically when people come in for the first visit, there's a lot of overwhelming emotions. And the last thing that I wanted to do was to embark on those emotions where it becomes overwhelming with the process as well, right? So it's very soothing. We have a bar, no alcohol, okay? We have a bar in there that you can go grab something to drink. We have different healthy snacks that you can eat while you're waiting for your session as well. And then what that looks like for me is when you come into that office, I typically ask you what brings you in, of course, and how are you feeling. So before we even delve deep into what's going on, a lot of times they say, hey, I'm really anxious, I'm really nervous, I don't know you, right? I don't know what questions you're about to ask, I don't know what we're about to get into, I don't even know what's about to come up. I like to integrate therapy very seamlessly. So I will say this, therapy is not everybody's ministry, and I understand that. That's why I'm not just a therapy practice, I'm a wellness practice. So I also host wellness events in Dallas, right? So I do R&B yoga, I do candle pouring, again, the over pour, right? We pour it into cups seriously, right? I'm big on aromatherapy. I like to host events that also allow people to take care of themselves, even if you don't want to talk about what's going on. So just taking that time for yourself. And then we have another clinician as well that if you guys have teenagers, adolescents, things like that, she specializes in that as well. So we definitely want to make sure that we're meeting everyone where they are. I see men, I see women, I see outside of our race, I see a lot of different clients on a lot of different walks, but every session is tailored to that client.
And I would like to add that although she does not offer alcoholic beverages, I'm located on the 8th floor of the same building. And Golden Alignment does have golden premium beverages of your choice. They have all of the flavors of Stella Rosa. Yeah, in the handheld. It's a true luxury experience, and I have never had alcohol in my life, but I heard the drinks are pretty good. But yeah, I buy them for you, so we're in the same building. Come to 8th floor.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, again, publicly. I appreciate you. I appreciate your yes for not only myself and this, but for them being able to get a glimpse into your genius, because I do believe each of your practices are. I know you are still in your journey, but thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your studies, because I know you could be writing right now or reading something extensive. So thank you. I appreciate each one of you. I'm a minister, so I'm going to pray. I don't want no offense to anyone in the room, but that's just what I do. So can you bow your head, ladies, with me? I'd like to pray. Lord, thank you so very much for being so kind and gracious towards us. You brought us to this space. We've been able to learn from one another. We've been able to share our gratefulness and our gratitude towards each other. Thank you for these women, God. I pray that you would bless their practices abundantly, above more than they can think or imagine. I pray that you would keep them in this season of sickness and uncertainty in these times. And I just thank you for them being here for me and them being here for these other guests at this Beauty and Health Expo today. I pray that you bless them, keep them as they go out. And thank you for this time, God. We truly do appreciate it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.